Hello, so I'm still here in Paris and today I'm going to be doing a fragrance workshop which I am so excited to be doing. In the area that I'm staying in here, the Saint-Paul-le-Marais area, I have been walking past this fragrance boutique workshop place and I've been seeing it and contemplating, should I do it, should I not? And over my 3 months being here in Paris, my love for fragrance has just grown and grown. I've always loved fragrances, but I've just been going into the department stores here and smelling like an abundance of fragrances all of the time. I constantly have little fragrance tester cards in my pockets, in my handbags, everywhere. So I decided, why not, while I'm here, this opportunity may not come along very often, so I'm going to do a fragrance workshop. I'm not entirely sure what it's going to involve. I know that we're probably going to get familiar and smell a lot of olfactory scents and just, develop our knowledge with that. Hopefully that's what I'm wishing. And then we get to make a fragrance as well to take home, which is very exciting. My preference for fragrances are normally like warm, woody, like really cuddly smells, but that are rich and have like a lot of complexity to them, which I'm not sure if that's a challenging category of fragrances to develop yourself. I'm a novice, so I'm going to see what the master tells me and see what I come up with. Obviously I'm going to be taking you along today to the fragrance workshop, and I think it's I got the message this morning that it's not at their like ground floor store level. It's in like they have two places where they do the workshops here in Paris. They're very close to each other. This one's actually even closer to where I live, because that is good, because it starts in 5 minutes. I need to put my shoes on and run over there. So I better get going.
Who told me, I hate the smell of the rose, or I hate the smell of lavender, or I hate the smell of whatever. It's just because at one point in your life you had an accident with this flower. And I've heard things like, oh yes, sure, I remember it. There were flowers on the coffin of my grandmother. I loved her. So those roses now, I hate their smell. Okay. Sometimes you remember, sometimes you don't even, because it's too far into your memory, hidden somewhere. You will need a psychoanalysis, but we'll not start one. It's too long. What we can do is to go around the tables and you give me the most important smell for you in your database. Because those memories are very loyal. The memory of sight, you cannot trust it. The memory of smell, it's permanent and very stable. And it has the power to trigger other memories. At that time, you see, Paris was transformed. This building, it's the previous World Fair, the one of 1900. And there, of course, all those barracks on the bridge are not there anymore. This is the Bridge Alexander III that you can recognize by the columns, and also the Rococo style lamps. So, Shalimar is introduced at that time. Shalimar is using for the first time an incredible smell that we're going to smell now. It's an ingredient that before could not be added to fragrances because they could not extract it. The pointed part is where you have the perfume. So don't touch the pointed part with your fingers, you would damage the perfume. Second, get it close to your nose, yes, but don't touch your nose either. Because if you put perfume on the nose, then it's finished. It smells vanilla all the afternoon. This is not a COVID test, so you don't have to put it in. Liquid, excellent. But to cool it down, it's not easy, because you can have a constant flow of vapor coming in, 100 degrees Celsius. So if you get it here in the tube, in a tank of cold water, it will warm your water very quickly. So what you need to do is to inject all 6 of those in your perfume. This is what is going to happen. Different layers. And this is a number of hours, and this is the top notes of your perfume, the middle notes, and the base notes. So at the beginning, the top notes are screaming at you. You only smell them. But don't try to smell them.
So I'm selecting my fragrance, and I have found that I love vanilla and firewood together, and I'm deciding whether I want tobacco leaf with it or with oud with it.
Good.
Hello, so I have finished the fragrance workshop, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I ended up being there half an hour longer than like the time said. We all just loved it. There was about 8 other people in the workshop, and it was at the like classroom area, and this is the store just here. The actual like retail part of the store is just here. So we are on the street called like Rue du Pont Philippe, Louis Philippe, the Louis Philippe street, and the bridge is here. I'm on my way to the Saint-Germain area, but yeah, it was really good. I'm going to talk more about it with you in a second. Maybe I'll sit down and share a little bit. Oh, and here is my perfume that I made in the workshop. This is the beautiful bridge that it's nearby, and the view. So it's just off this bridge down there. That's where the like retail store is, and I think where they do smaller workshops. But today, on a Tuesday, they had 8 other people. So, and it was a great group. The man was really lovely. I'm not actually sure if he was a fragrant maker, like a perfume maker, but he was extremely knowledgeable. And we were able to ask him any questions that we desired. So I found a little quiet spot here. So yeah, I enjoyed the workshop so much. I was just like listening to him, every single word he was saying. It was so interesting. So the workshop was in like 2 parts. The first part was like 1 hour of talking, guessing things right. He was talking, a presentation on the screen that he went through in a very like well presented way, a very like funny way, a very sincere way, and nothing too like complicated that the average person wouldn't be able to understand. A lot of the things I knew and some of the things I didn't know. And then the second part was where we smelt some more fragrances, and then we made our own. Some of the things that stood out to me that I learnt, I remember as a baby, like as a fetus in our mother's tummy, we start smelling from like -3 months since we were born. That was quite interesting. So this is my fragrance that I made, and I've just smelt it again. And I just love that wood fire aspect to it. Okay, I do really like it. It's so like, I let the other ladies next to me that were on my table smell it, and it's so like just cozy and encapsulating and like deep, warm, and spicy and woody, like a fire. The fragrances that we blended, which to your, if you're thinking about doing this to your like relief, are not like the pure essential oil or the pure ingredient fragrance. They are, so you get given like a fragrance menu, like a menu at a restaurant, and you select 5 more that you want to smell, 5 more than the others that you already have smelt. So we all had the cards and different ones, and we wrote down what they were on the cards. So you can select an array of like woody ones, floral ones, citrus scents, and each one is like a combination of other elements and individual scents to make sandalwood or oud or rose or jasmine, because if you were to use the like raw, just that one, it's quite complicated to make a fragrance from. Fragrances are made up of like about 60 to 80 different ingredients or different like scents. So you kind of select from their kind of, it's like it's like an individual scent, but it's also like a combination to make that scent, like a rose, like their type of rose from the brand. And so I selected obviously a lot of beautiful warm scents, and I was tossing up so much between two. So I really loved Woodfire and Vanilla, and then I couldn't choose if I wanted, they recommend 3 combinations, so I couldn't choose between oud and tobacco. So oud, tobacco were like, I loved them, but they apparently are too much to go together, too strong. So I ended up going with Woodfire, Vanilla and oud. I was so torn, but that's what I ended up going with. So we learn a lot of things about like there is about 7 different brands in the world that create these fragrance ingredients, like the raw ingredients. They were up on the screen. They are companies that not many people, no one's ever heard of. They are, I would assume, to be correct in saying, they would be like a chemical company essentially, because they, you know, fragrance is chemistry, right? There is so many elements to it, and perfumers need to know thousands of different scents, which are essentially chemicals. And yeah, these companies, they create and they distill and they like manufacture and harvest and grow the ingredients to make fragrances, and then they sell them to the fragrance houses to like dilute and mix into an alcohol, and then they have it bottled in their beautiful packaging. So that was interesting to learn about. We also learnt about musk and the origins of musk. So musk was from a deer or like a Bambi, a small deer. He said it looked like Bambi / a werewolf, and it does actually. It's like a deer with like long fangs. In China, I think it was, and it's actually from something like a sexual organ of theirs that the Chinese, realized smelt amazing, and there's a long story with that, so that was interesting. But you can be rest assured that it is now not using this poor little animal. Musk is, they use it, they have synthesized this scent, and so it is not as sad for the poor deer. But that's over now. It's really starting to rain. I'm going to be walking to Saint-Germain now to meet Edwin, my husband, and I have an umbrella, so I need to open that up. I'm just packing up my fragrance. I have my umbrella here. But if I think of any more things that I remembered and I learnt that I loved in the workshop, I'm going to get my camera out and tell you again. It was just fascinating. Like at one point I was like, I should have brought a pen and paper and take notes, like just the interesting topics that he was saying. I would have done it on my phone, but I just feel like that's so rude, right? It looks like you're texting. But let me think of some more things. Okay, so one of the really interesting things was how important our olfactory system is, which is the system in our brain that registers scent and how we smell, basically. If you lose your sense of smell, which recently a lot of people have for a short period of time with COVID, you realize how important it is. I'm fortunate enough, I've never lost my sense of smell, but he said if you lose your sense of smell, you cannot taste whether you are having coffee or if it's just tea. You just taste bitter. It's the smell of coffee that makes it's coffee, which is amazing, isn't it? Like that's how much of a role, we're smelling 24 hours a day, 24/7. Even while we're sleeping, we are smelling. And if that element is taken away from our bodies, then a lot of things are just not going to be the same. You wouldn't know you're having coffee, and I'm sure with so many other foods and things. I thought that was, yeah, interesting. Okay, it's quite loud near the road. I found another park on my walk to Saint-Germain. Wow, this is really pretty here. Let me show you. Look at this, so green. Anywho, another thing was about the notes and the bass notes, the middle notes and the top notes, and about how they work. And I knew this, but the top notes, they burn off the fastest, and then the middle notes and then the bass notes are what's left on your skin, and they last the longest on your skin. So he was saying, like when you go through an airport and you try some fragrances on, you're like, lovely, I'll buy that, great. A few hours later, you smell it again on your arm, and you're like, I don't know if I made a right choice there. Do I like it still? You like start stressing about that. I know I would. Fragrance is not cheap. You just spent like around $100 in US on this bottle. Do I still like it? But the people in the store will have you believe that it's your pH in your skin, and everybody's, it smells different, that it changes. He said that the whole pH in your skin story is bullshit a little bit because the pH levels in each person's skin is not all that different. We're all human. Our pH, relatively sits at a small variance. But he said, everyone does have a different scent, like our own. We all have like a scent, like a human scent, but it's all slightly different. So there is that in mind, that it will smell different on everybody, but it isn't because of like the pH in your skin. So it's important to try a fragrance on your skin and just be with it for a few hours. Like, do not impulse buy fragrances. It's not a good idea. And he just reiterated that for us, which was one of the things that I thought was good and interesting to share with you guys. So that was the fragrance workshop. Overall, I absolutely loved it. I highly recommend it if you are interested in fragrances, if you would love to make your own fragrance, you just want to understand the industry a little bit more and how it works, and have the opportunity to ask someone in the industry questions. I highly recommend it. It was 2 hours, €85. I paid for it myself in the Le Marais area, and really good afternoon. So thank you for watching to the end. If you did, please comment. I always love to reply and chat to you guys, but not too many more videos in Paris. But I will see you on the next one. Bye.